Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you guys my Elemental Hero deck profile for March 2017. This is a different take on the Elemental Hero deck that a couple of you requested me to do. This deck basically uses all the old tactics of the Elemental Heroes, involving all their different fusions, using a lot of famous monsters used by Jaden in the GX era. So this is a pure Elemental Hero deck. We'll be using no masked heroes in this version, because this is what a lot of you requested, just to see like what a deck of, just pure Elemental Heroes would be comprised of today. And the whole point of the deck is a really fun deck, just so you can get off a bunch of different fusions during the games you play, whether it be Flame Wingman, Rampart Blaster, you name it. So let's go ahead and jump right into the deck profile. For startup, the original Elemental Heroes are included in this deck profile. I run one of each of these heroes: Avian, Burstinatrix, Sparkman, and Clayman. The main reason is just because you do need them for a good variety of the fusions, and they can either be searched out with the deck or basically copied with other monster effects, which we'll get to later on. I just like the one-ofs, just because if you hit the right combos like Clayman and Burstinatrix, or Avian and Burstinatrix, or Clayman and Sparkman, you have a bunch of different, combo varieties that you can go on with these four alone, just to do the fusions you want respectively, which is why I run one of each. And also two Elemental Hero Wildheart. I'm running two of him just because he also has a pretty decent effect on his own. The unaffected by trap cards. In some playtesting, there are games where I would attack and the Mirror Force cards couldn't do anything against this guy, so it was really cool just to be hitting on with him alone. And he's also needed for a couple of the fusions as well, so which is why I bumped him up to the 2 status. Just running one Elemental Hero Blade Edge. He has the piercing effect, but once again, I run him mostly for the fact that he is needed for also a good amount of the fusions. And when we get to the extra deck, I'll be discussing a couple cards are missing from the extra deck, but just saying, you have so many different fusions to work with in this deck, including Plasma Vice, Bubble, Rampart Healer, or Steam Healer, that's it. I just didn't have time to find room for the deck that you can obviously put in yourself, just depending on what fusions you want to get off in this deck. Also run two Elemental Hero Ocean. He's just a recycler for your graveyard that you use to get back cards you want for more fusions. And if you go off of the polymerization plays, basically is where you'll go with him using those cards, since Miracle Fusion most of the time will end up banishing your cards. And you'll use him to fuse into Absolute Zero most of the time next to Bubble Man when you have this card. Speaking of Bubble Man, I also run 3 of him. He is probably still one of the most vital heroes in the deck. Not so much just for the fact that he has a really good effect, being able to special summon if he's the only monster in your hand, then drawing 2 if he's the only card you control. But he is, basically able to fuse with a good amount of the monsters, let alone he's able to fuse with 3 of the 4 original monsters. He's also able to fuse into a bunch of different combos as well. You got Mudball Man, you have his fusion with Avian, which is going to kill me because I can't remember the exact name, but we'll check it out right now. Mariner, he's got Steam Healer, like I said, with Burstinatrix, with Sparkman and Avian. He's got Tempest. So just so much viability goes into Bubble Man alone with this deck, just for his fusions. And if you are an Exceed player and you do want to mix that in with this deck as well, you can go into that concept with him also. And 3 Elemental Hero Prisma. This card is used to get your Elemental Heroes in the graveyard, just to copy their names and, just set up more plays since he'll take on the name. It's basically like running more of those versions of those cards, even though you don't have to, since he'll be able to copy those names. So opening up him first also helps, which is what keeping the original 4 at 1 each also excels at. And 2 Elemental Hero Voltic. This card just helps so you can basically get back your banished Elemental Heroes. Anything that you banish for the Miracle Fusion plays, you can. I think I said Miracle Synchro Fusion earlier, but it's just Miracle Fusion. I'm just not used to saying that card so much. But with your bigger Elemental Heroes, being able to take out your opponent's monsters, then hitting directly with him, makes this special summon very easy to get off. And then the last monster that I run in the deck is King of the Swamp, which I run 3 of, just because it can search out polymerization, and it can also be used to take up one of the fusion spots in the extra deck, even though you have to use the required specific one of the other fusion monsters. But like I said, he just helps just because he can really search out what you need for the fusions and take up that extra space. And that is it for the monsters. We'll move on to spells. I run 2 polymerization. Mostly just run 2 of this because it is searchable with King of the Swamps. And you have your other fusion plays to go off of as well, which is why I'm keeping this down to 2. Running 3 is just way too much in my opinion. You'll end up drawing too many polymerizations and not have enough monsters to make them viable. Nonetheless, Miracle Fusion is another question. This card is basically viable at any time as long as you have the monsters on your field or graveyard, which is why I maxed this out at 3. Like I said, you'll have basically all your plays open to you in this card, which is another fun part of the Elemental Hero deck. You have so many fusions to go into that using this card just adds to the fun. And I also run 2 Skyscrapers. This is more of a power booster card that I like in the deck, just adding that 1000 when a Elemental Hero, its card name, attacks. And its attack is lower than the attack of the target, so you'll be able to basically hit over those monsters that are really close in tie with their attack points, and then deal some major damage with this card. If you want to go for less of a attack power basis and be a little more faster with your fusions, then I recommend taking out the Skyscrapers for 2 fusion gates. But in the end, it's just preference which one you prefer to do. Nonetheless, you'll have 2 different play styles going on, but it's, like I said, more based on the player themselves. So Skyscrapers for power-based plays, Fusion Gates for quicker fusion plays. And 1 Terraforming just to search out your field spell targets faster. And I also run 3 Emergency Calls. This card searches out whatever you need for the situation, so if you have that 1 specific fusion you want to get out, that card helps there. Same with Reinforcements of the Army. Grab the correct hero you need. And I also like to run 2 Fusion Conscriptions. You reveal a fusion monster in your extra deck and add one of the fusion material monsters listed on that card from your deck to your hand. And if you do, for the rest of this turn after this card is activated, you cannot normal or set or special summon monsters with the added monster's name, nor activate their effects. You can only activate 1 fusion conscription per turn. Nonetheless, you don't have to worry about that because most of the time you'll just be using that monster to fusion summon with polymerization, because Miracle Fusion allows you have to have the monster on the field, which you're unable to do. But this card just helps thin out the deck and search out proper cards as well as you need. So you have basically plenty of search targets in this deck using those cards and these. And 1 fusion tag. This card just helps because it makes the monster the name of a specific fusion. In those situations, it helps because it speeds out getting monsters like Shining Flare Wingman, which requires a Flame Wingman and a Sparkman. So if you just have another monster take on the name of Flame Wingman, it makes that fusion a lot easier. And then for traps, I run 3 Call the Haunted. This is just so you can basically get your monsters out of the graveyard faster to use for fusion summons. Once again, Miracle Fusion works fine in the graveyard. This is more for your polymerization or exceed plays if you wish to do that. And then to wrap up the traps, I run 1 Bottomless Trap Hole and 1 Solemn Warning. And that is it for the main deck. We'll move on to the extra. Now, like I said, the extra deck is comprised of mostly fusion monsters, which was a mishmash of ones that I chose myself to run in the deck. Sadly, I did not have any Elemental Hero, the Shinings, or Absolute Zeros, or any of the other elemental ones, Iscuridao, Nova Master. All I had was Great Tornado. I ended up trading away most of my fusions in my binder when that binder went. So I'm just, left with the sole Great Tornado, but definitely would run the other ones as well. They are elemental heroes, and there are very easily elemental heroes to get out, and they're also ones that are very, very good in the deck, so definitely run them if you have them. But like I said, the mishmash goes based on just what you want to run. It could be Wild Edge, Rampart Blaster, Electrum. They're all ones that I run. Shining Flare Wingman, Flame Wingman. I do have Gaia for the elemental ones we were talking about earlier. Mudball Man, Wild Wingman, Elemental hero. Thought something just shocked me for a second on my hand. Thought it was a bee sting or something, but nope. Mariner. And then for the Exceed monsters, just go with the basic lineups of Cowboy, Dark Rebellion, Castell, and then Levier, Giga Brilliant. Like I said, this extra deck has so much viability in it. You could basically run what you want and get those plays off very easily. But when it comes to the elemental hero monsters, the ones that are generic, like Grey Tornado, and basically Gaia, would definitely run one of each of these, 2 Shinings, maybe 2 Absolute Zeros, just because they're very easy to summon with Bubble Man and basically Ocean. But other than that, that's it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.